Welcome, welcome, welcome. I have to tell you at the outset that Appreciative Inquiry is probably my favorite topic in organization development because it is so powerful in changing organizations, not just in shaping strategy, but actually in changing organizations. So this is my favorite topic. I had to set a shut up timer because it's my favorite topic, and I can go on and on and on and on about it. So I'm going to very quickly go through our objectives for today. You've already seen the learner outcomes. I guess that's why you came. So we are going to introduce the 5 generic processes. I'm going to give you an opportunity to give voice to lots of stakeholders using Appreciative Inquiry, and we're going to be helping you develop solutions for strategy using Appreciative Inquiry. So those are the outcomes. Real quick overview, I'm going to walk you through the theories. We're going to do the practice. We are going to physically do the practice. So if you thought you were comfortable in the seat you're in, don't get too comfortable because you're going to be moving real soon. And we are going to be talking about practical applications. Now, before we get started, I'm going to ask you for something. I'm going to ask everybody for something. How many of you came because you truly want to be here? Okay. So that means you want to be fully present, correct? Is that what that means? So I'm going to ask you to divorce yourself from your electronic leash and be fully present. I'm going to ask you to say goodbye to your ADD. Does everybody know what an ADD is? Everybody know what an ADD is? Attention distracting device. I promise you that between now and when I have to end at 11:45, God will not text you, He will not tweet you, and He will not send you a Facebook post, okay? So if we could agree to be fully present, I would really appreciate that. Want to get started right away with the quick history of Appreciative Inquiry and how it relates to strategy and strategic planning. Back in the 1980s, a man by the name of David Cooperrider was working on his PhD at Case Western University. And he got interested, when he was studying the Cleveland Clinic, he got really interested in why is it that some parts of the Cleveland Clinic have higher cure rates, have higher patient satisfaction rates, have better employee retention, and have higher employee satisfaction rates. He was just curious about why is it? Big organization, but why are some parts soaring? So he went back to his dissertation advisor, Suresh Srivastava, and said, I'm really curious about that. And Srivastava said, okay, so study it, but you got to anchor it in some theories. So it's anchored in 2 important theories that are really important when we begin talking about strategy and creating strategy that sticks. The first of the theories is called social constructionism. Social constructionism. And God bless you. And what social constructionism teaches us is this. Language does not describe. Language doesn't define. Language is instead our most powerful tool for creation. It goes on to teach us that the questions that we ask at the beginning of any inquiry, whether it's for strategic planning, for organizational change, for leadership development, the questions that we ask are fateful. So we have to pay keen and close attention to our language. So that's the first theory in a nutshell, social constructionism. And then there's a second theory that this is anchored in. It's called heliotropism. Now, this is actually borrowed from the natural sciences. You're a scientist, you're smiling and shaking your head. So this teaches us that all living systems gravitate towards that which gives them life. and organizations are living systems. So when you look around organizations and you see pockets of organizations where the retention is great, where they're having great outcomes, where they're living the strategy, it's an affirming, life-giving piece of that organization. When you look at organizations that make the best place to work list and have, great employee satisfaction, it's a life-giving, life-affirming system. It's heliotropic. Okay? So those are the foundations. Those are the basic roots of appreciative inquiry. That's all I'm going to give you on history. If you want more, a couple of things are in front of you. There's a quick article that we've got a few copies around, and if you want to get deep with it, we'll talk about it towards the end, and I'll send you some resources. So I want to get started by doing. I want to ask you to do a little something. I want you to jot down, and there's space for it on your handout, and if you don't have a handout, raise your hand, and I will find you and get you one. You do not? Okay. I would find, here, I'll find them first and then give you one. So, what I'd like for you to do, welcome, is to take a minute and jot down in detail 3 moments of excellence for your organization, your department, or your division. 3 moments of excellence. 3 times where you know you rocked, where you really know that you shined, your organization or your department or your division was at its best. Just take a moment and jot down 3 moments of excellence, and then we're going to do a little work with them. And your time is officially up. Time is officially up. So here's what I would like for you to do. First thing I'd like for you to do is to find a partner at your table. You'll be in groups of 2, potentially 3. So find a partner at your table, meet them, be polite, smile, shake hands. Okay? And then what I would like for you to do after you've made the basic introductions is to each of you share 1 moment of excellence and what it meant to you, okay? So each of you is only going to share 1 and what it meant to you. And you're going to have about, 1.5 minutes each to do that, okay? Go ahead and get started. Okay, your time is officially up. Time is officially up. It's okay if you didn't get to complete your sharing because you're going to have lots of opportunities to do more stuff together. Time is officially up. I love it. They're high-fiving each other. I love it. Oh. So I have some questions for you. When you had to write down the moments of excellence, what did you think, feel, experience? Anybody? Who said that? Pride. Pride? You can raise your, don't be shy. You said it. Pride? Okay. What else? You felt, when you wrote it down, you felt teamwork? Okay, you felt the teamwork that you experienced over again? Success. What else did you feel? Excitement. You felt doubt? Okay. What did you doubt? Did you doubt that you were there? Oh, okay. Okay. I'm sorry, I'm silly. She's looking at me like, come on now, lady. Yes, she said she felt some doubt. If you're looking for seats, you can fill in right along here, okay? So doubt, yes?
And I was thinking when I was choosing whether it was my personal success or the success of the total organization.
Right, was it mine or the whole organization's? Other feelings as you were writing it down? Other thoughts or feelings as you were writing it down? You felt perseverance? Inspired? Yeah. Now, when you had the opportunity to share, what'd you feel? A lot of pride. Somebody say passion? Passion. You felt the excellence? Felt some excitement? Yeah, and as you were hearing somebody else's moment of excellence, what'd you feel? The same stuff. So what does this have to do with strategic planning? It's about shifting the focus. Because when you shift the focus in an organization, you shift the energy. If I had asked each of you to write down one thing that defeated you in 2017, or one struggle that you had in 2017, what would we be talking about now? We'd all be trying to get on a therapist's couch. Yeah, we'd all be trying to get on a therapist's couch. So when we begin to think about the process of using appreciative inquiry as a strategic planning tool, the first thing that we have to do is to shift the focus in the organization, to very thoughtfully and very intentionally shift the focus in the organization. And that sounds really good theoretically, doesn't it? Yeah. I was working with a health system in mid-state New York right before the holiday on using appreciative inquiry to begin to plan their strategy for the next 3 years. And one of the directors in the room, I thought, we started at about 9, and I thought by about 10:30 I was going to just strangle her. I thought, I'm going to get her by the neck because, we're trying to shift the focus, and she keeps saying, well, but we haven't been able to retain employees. Well, but no, we haven't done that great on the JCO. No, but we just haven't done things so great. And I'm thinking, oh, could it be you, lady? All I keep thinking is, could it be you? Could it be you? Could it be you? Because right about now, I want your neck in my hands. So theoretically, it sounds really good, but in reality, we've got lots of work to do in organizations to shift the focus so that we can begin planning strategy from a positive, affirming, constructionist perspective. Lots of work to do. And for some of us, the work starts right in our own heads with being able to adopt and adapt to new ways of being. I kind of laugh when I talk about adopting and adapting to new ways of being. We start out and I ask people not to have their ADDs up, and I look around and people still got ADDs up. It's like, a new way of being would kill me, lady. I'm gonna die if I don't have this thing, but would you really? And is it that hard to demonstrate respect for the people around you and for the experience that you're in? So the whole thought of new ways of being can be really difficult for people. It can be an adjustment for many of us. And it requires that we understand something called the law of focus. The law of focus. You had a partner before. I need for you and that partner to reunite for just a second. And we're going to do a little old trick that I love, okay? And now I need a partner. Jen, you're going to be my partner. Now, one of you needs to get out a piece of paper. Okay? One of you needs, and if you're out of paper, tell me, because I have a pad with me. Anybody who needs paper? Okay? I got our paper, Jen, don't worry. If you need paper, just let me know. There's 2 here, and there's somebody coming up behind you. Sure. There's 2 there, and there's a lady on your right or your left. Okay? Sure. There's a couple there, if you don't mind separating them for people. There you go. Thank you, Joy. I appreciate your help. All right. Sure, you can get a couple extra ones. Okay? Everybody got a piece of paper. You only need 1 piece of paper in the partnership. Well, come on. Come on. You only need 1 in the partnership, okay? You're so thoughtful. So, Jen, stand up, please. So, I need 1 person in the partnership to hold the paper like this. Okay, 1 person in the partnership, you're going to hold the paper like this. See how I have it? Nice grip, firm. You're holding it like this. And you're going to be our paper holder, Jen. Okay? All right, now the other person in the partnership, I need for you to hold up your hand, and then I need for you to splay your 5 fingers. Just spread them out far. Okay? Splay your 5 fingers. Everybody got that? Now, listen to my instructions very carefully. I'm not going to hurt you. Okay? I just need for you to know. With your hand, like this, and your 5 fingers splayed, you are going to put a hole You got to hold the paper. So I might hurt you if you don't hold it better than that. I need for you to put a round little hole in the center of the paper. A round little hole in the center of the paper with your hand just like this. Can't do it. Can't do it. I couldn't do it. You can't do it. We just can't do it. So now we're going to try a different strategy. We're going to try a different strategy. You are going to, using just your index finger, thoughtfully, carefully, intentionally put a hole in the center of the paper. Now, I use a little spit, okay? I'm just telling you. Thank you. Don't worry, I'm not going to touch it with the spit. You can let go. Everybody got this? Everybody got this? It's the thoughtfully, carefully, intentionally, and the spit, okay? It's those three things. So, thank you, Jen. So, what we have demonstrated is the law of focus. The law of focus. And the law of focus tells us that no element in the universe is as powerful dispersed as it is when it's focused. So when you begin thinking about this whole idea of strategy and you want to do 50 different things, hard, fast, strong, now, that will get you nowhere quickly. It will frustrate you, it will annoy you, and it will frustrate and annoy the people around you. You've got to focus the organization's energy very intentionally. So as we begin thinking about how do we position ourselves for strategy work, it's through focus. Through focus. It's so funny. I wish you could have seen her face close up because she looked like, what did I volunteer for? Why am I doing this? And then when I spit, she really looked like, oh my God. So now the question is, where do you need to focus your organization's attention and why? And this could be the larger organization if there's a CEO or an executive director in the room. If you're a director or a division head, then maybe it's just your part of the organization. But where do you need to focus your organization's attention and why? And let's talk about that. Somebody, where do you need to focus your organization's attention and why do you need to focus there? Yes? So it is very important that you have clarity about where the focus needs to be, because the focus is going to guide the strategy. The focus is what will guide the strategy. So in addition to understanding why you want to focus there, the other thing that you have to really be thinking about is, what are the gains that are going to happen from moving the organization in that direction? You know, what are the gains that happen from moving the organization in a service direction? What are the gains that happen when we really pay attention to internal partners? So you've got to do the work on the front end to understand what you want to get out of this on the back end. That is one of the things that I really like about using Appreciative Inquiry, is because it forces us to do a lot of hard front end work, really thinking about where do we want to wind up? Why do we want to wind up there? The wins from winding up there. But it also asks us to spend a little time dreaming, All right, so here's what you're going to do as a collective, and you can do it any way you want. You are getting ready to creatively illustrate. Okay, and a creative illustration can be anything you say it is. I'm going to show you my version of a creative illustration right now. This is about as creative as I get. So that's as good as I get on creative illustration. So don't feel any pressure. You're going to creatively illustrate your dream, either for the profession, your department, your organization, your division. But on that paper, we're going to see creative illustrations of multiple dreams. And you've got, less than 4 minutes to do it. So make sure that everyone gets the marker and everyone gets to do their creative illustration. Everybody gets the marker and everybody gets to do their creative illustration. Dream time is over. You got to wake up now. It's over. Got to wake up. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to have some random dream sharers share their dreams, okay? Some random dream sharers are going to share their dreams. Anybody want to volunteer to start us off? You got to hold up your page and share. Oh, look, we got a volunteer over here.
Hello, everyone.
Hello. Do you want to tell us who you are and where you're from?
Sure. My name is Kate Anthony. I'm from Universal Orlando. And we have our lovely illustrator over here who has brought our ideas to life. So right here, this is our favorite. We have our unicorn for imagination. And our unicorn, we are riding this unicorn looking at the stars. So we're going to reach for the stars. So that was one of our favorites there. We also have happy attendees looking to also increase attendance. So everyone's standing in line for registration here. We have our global mindset for world domination.
Okay.
It's actually just globally. Global collaboration, here we go. We have our two little stick figures who are shaking hands and collaborating. And of course, dollar signs, which is one of the reasons that we're all here, to be successful. And you'll have to explain what was our connecting? Virtual. There we, yeah. There we go, yeah. So using webinars more, collaborating virtually or connecting virtually. So we have our little laptop with our person here working, so.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yes, go. Yes. We got one more volunteer and then one over here, and then we're going to stop dreaming and talk about them. Okay. All right.
So, good morning.
Good morning. Want to tell us who you are and where you're from?
Yes, I'm Eric Horovitz from the Westin Peachtree Plaza in Atlanta, Georgia. So, our dreams, they start with the roots of this beautiful tree. So we build on a great foundation with communication here's our beautiful iPhone X that allows us to globally communicate to everyone. And then our dreams, we did bring in, we love puppy dogs and unicorns. So we decided to combine both of them into a puppy dog unicorn.
A puppy corn?
So, and then with working together from our foundation, we have happiness with sunshines, and which comes into a huge rainbow. And of course, at the end of the rainbow is always a pot of gold, which is money that we're looking for. So our dreams, we are looking to be prosperous and work together.
Will you turn it this way and that way so people can see it?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
And then I saw one more volunteer over here in my peripheral vision. Yes, there you go. Thank you. Somebody. One of you.
My name's Don Osborne. I'm with Event Logistics Incorporated here in Nashville, and ours is kind of 3D because we wrote upside down, but that's okay. Leave it like that for now. Nope.
No, he really wants you to leave it like that.
Leave it like this for now. So
it's 3D.
Exactly.
Gotta leave it the way he wants
turn
it.
upside down in just a second. Our dream is to have happy attendees exponentially going up, which increases our revenue. Flip it over. Which for the dream means we can all retire on a beach with a little drink and have money all over the place and continue to have happy customers. That's our dream.
Oh my goodness. So what you have started doing is one of the D's, which I'll get to in a minute. But what you see now is the power of language in appreciative inquiry and strategic planning. Nobody dreamt about their company going belly up. Nobody dreamt about going into foreclosure. Nobody dreamt about, hiring the worst employees in the event management field. We dream about good things, and that reinforces the power of language. So when we begin working in our organizations on using appreciative inquiry as a strategic planning tool, part of our work is articulating a shared dream. So how do we articulate a shared dream? I want to introduce, you just did one of the ways. We actually, in an organization, ask people to craft their dreams. I pull people together and they actually get to draw their dreams. Sometimes what I do is I have a collection of it's probably at about 500 postcards now. So sometimes what I do with organizations is I bring in postcards and have hundreds and hundreds of postcards all around the room and ask people to pick 3 that clearly identifies the future that they see for the organization or the dream that they have for the organization. And so when they pick up the postcard, they then are responsible for writing why they see that as the future, and they work in small groups to talk about what they see as the future, and then we combine the postcards and come to a shared dream or a shared vision. So that's another way to do the dream. And there's another way to do the dream that I like to do a lot, which is to bring a bunch of old brochures, magazines, colorful things into the room and ask people to find the ones that mean the most to them in terms of the future of the organization. So there are as many ways to come to the dream for the strategy as there are people doing it. There are many, many, many different ways. And I encourage you, whether you're doing strategy for just your division or for the larger organization, to be creative. To not rely on making a list and doing a survey, but to really allow people to become fully engaged in the process of thinking beyond where we are. Really thinking beyond this moment and seeing the limitless possibilities that are there for us. So the dream piece is a real important piece in getting us anchored and ready to move the conversation forward about strategy. Because strategy really has to be rooted in something that is aspirational. Now, sometimes we can over-aspire. I do not know why I did this, but one of my friends was at my house for brunch just after Thanksgiving. I had a brunch the Sunday after Thanksgiving. And she says, Joanne, we really need to lose weight. We have gained so much weight in the 25 years we've known each other. And I'm like, yeah, that's true. I'm okay with that. And she says, how much did you weigh when we met? I was like, I don't know how much I weighed when we met. I don't know. Who remembers what they weighed 25 years ago? She says, well, I know I've gained 50 pounds in the last 25 years. I said, I probably have too, but I'm not counting. So she says, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to work together through 2018 and lose 50 pounds. And because I had already drank a bottle of champagne by myself at brunch, I said, okay, that sounds like a great idea. We're going to lose 50 pounds. Oh, that's a great idea. As I keep guzzling my champagne. And then the next day when she texts me and says, do you want to walk around the lake? And I'm like, what? Why would I want to walk around the lake with you? I just saw you yesterday. And she's like, remember, we're doing this 50-pound thing. What was I thinking? Seriously. A realistic aspiration for me would have been 25 pounds. Really. So we've got to think about the reality of who we are, where we are, and what we are when we're aspiring. We have to think about the resources that are available to us. We also have to think about how much am I willing to invest? Now, I'm just going to tell you all the truth. I'm not willing to invest enough to lose 50 pounds this year. I will be happy to lose 20. There's some stuff I'm just not giving up. I was telling the guys over there, the AV guys, I went to this place called The Row last night. They had this bourbon chocolate pecan pie in a chocolate crust with vanilla ice cream, and she offered me whipped cream and extra nuts. So do you think I was giving that up to lose 50 pounds? So we have to think about the reality of the organization, who it is, how it's positioned, the culture, and the politics of the organization as we are shaping our strategy. We have to be reality-based. I'm not saying be gloom and doom and be dismal, but we have to acknowledge organizational realities. So I want to move forward just a little bit, but before I move forward, are there any points that need clarity? Any points that need clarity? I realize that this is a very experiential session and that you might not have signed on for that, but if there are points that need clarity, just tell me, because I'm happy to clarify things. What you have been doing is actually David Cooperrider's 4D model, okay? The 4D model. The first of the D's is the discovery. It's when we intentionally unearth the best that there is. We intentionally cite and find moments of excellence. So that's why we did that, so that you could have the experience with discovery. Discovery is an important starting point for strategy because it helps us to affirm the best in the organization. It helps us, in some organization, it really helps them to recognize the fact that there are some good things going on. Some organizations are so attuned to problems and to the negative forces that they don't even realize that there's some good stuff going on. Some good stuff going on. So the discovery is the first step in the process. Moments of excellence are one way to do discovery, and that's what we started with. Another way to do discovery that can be a lot of fun is to send people out in the organization to interview people about moments of excellence and to have them gather all of that data and all of that information and bring it back to the strategic planning team. So there are any number of ways to begin the discovery process, but the purpose of this stage of the process is to begin asking the fateful, positive questions to shape the strategy and to shape the inquiry. So the next step in the process we just did, which is the dream, is really beginning to see possibilities, to see what could be, what can be, and what we can create for the organization. And I will tell you, of all of the stages of this process for strategic planning, these two are my favorite because they begin to open minds and they begin to open hearts. And when we can open minds and open hearts, we can create something different in organizations. We can really do that. So the next step in the process is the design. The design. Because it's wonderful to have discovered the best of what is, and it's wonderful to have a dream and to encapsulate that and to make it into a strategic vision statement. But now you got to do something with it. You have to make something with it. So how does the design process take place? I'm a big believer in collaboration. I believe that no one of us is as smart as all of us, so that when organizations send their senior leaders up on the mountain to come back with a strategy, the reason that that strategy fails is because they didn't have that much sense up on that mountain and the air was thin up there. Okay, I really believe that we have to collaborate with stakeholders throughout the organization to design something that will work. So I'm going to ask you to get a little practice at design. Everybody had a dream. What I'd like for you to do is to jot down 3 action steps that would take you to your dream, to your individual dream. Just take a moment and jot down 3 action steps that will take you to your individual dream. So you're going to pick a partner at your table. You're going to pair. You're going to share 1 or 2 of your action steps. If you have time, you can do all 3. And your partner is going to offer enhancements, okay? Enhancements. Your partner is not ever going to say, I don't think that could ever work. Oh, that doesn't sound, Or your partner's not going to say, yeah, when she told me she was going to lose 50 pounds, I knew that was a bust. That's not what you're there to do. You're a supportive encourager, okay? So you're going to pick a partner, you're going to share 1 or 2 of your action steps, and your partner is going to give you enhancements, okay? And you've got about, I'm guessing 2 minutes each, okay? 2 minutes each. Good guess? So, some of the enhancements that you got from your partner. Anybody? Share an enhancement with us. Yes? So I got to give you $5 after this is over, okay? Somebody else, an enhancement you got from your partner. Yes? Having a mentor, having a positive mentor. Somebody else, an enhancement you got from your partner. Yes.
Pulling together the team and taking them away on a little retreat so we could really be focused on what we need to focus on.
And the composition of that team is so important. Not just having yes people, having people who will challenge the status quo, having people who have some mental capacity for engagement, for thought. Because, we don't all come with the same amount of gray matter. And we really want to have some people who have ample gray matter to deal with complexity, to deal with ambiguity, to really think and forecast. Yes. Yeah, somebody else, an enhancement you got. Yes.
So I was talking about giving a clear, concise communication to my attendee, and Emily suggested also listening to more what the attendee is saying in response.
So really being quiet and listening and hearing from the end user of your services, the attendee. It's very important when we begin this process and when we begin the design work that we get feedback on it. Often what happens, and part of the reason that there is a strategy to performance gap, is because we came up with strategies that didn't make sense in the real world. But if we are, starting with a collaborative team, with a variety of stakeholders, and then when we come up with the shell of our strategic plan, sending it back to them so that they can think about it and enhance it, that is how we build strategy that sticks. Is really creating a process where we hear multiple voices repeatedly. And what this requires is that we suspend our egos. Sometimes we think, well, this team came up with it and we are all rocket scientists, so it must be perfect. And in fact, if we let in some other voices and hear from some other people, what we find is that we can enhance anything that we have developed. We can really grow it in a different way. So the last stage of the process is the destiny. This is when we put the plan into action, when we are actually doing the work that we created through the discovery, the dream, and the design, when we are actually doing whatever the action items are, when we're measuring their successes, and when we're doing the tweaking and the recalibrating. Because in reality, things have to be tweaked and recalibrated. We're thinking that it's going to go in this direction, and then something happens and we have to go in a slightly different direction. We still have the same goal, but it's important for us to pay attention to the process as we're implementing it. I always suggest to clients when we're doing strategy work that you do quarterly check-ins, that the team that developed it spend some time coming together every quarter to look at how we're actually doing, to look at whether or not we're meeting the mark, to look at whether or not we need to go back to the drawing board. Maybe something major has happened in the industry. Maybe something has happened in the organization. Any number of things can happen that impact our strategy. Any number of things. And the world moves so quickly now that it's important to stay in touch and to stay in tune. And I liked what you said about hearing from the attendees and hearing from, I liked what Emily said about hearing from the attendees. And good that you didn't take credit. Hearing from the attendees and really hearing other voices. I think that is really an important component of success with making strategy happen. So we've walked through the 4 Ds, and you see that it's a model that you can take back and use for small scale. Now, Emily, we're not going to keep talking together. It's a model that you can use for small scale or large scale. It's a model that you can use for things that are far out into the future or for things that are pretty immediate. So it's important that we understand that we can adapt this. But also, we need to know that there is another way to do AI. There's another way. And that's the 5 generic processes. And these approaches are similar, though not exactly the same. Not exactly the same. So let's talk about the 5 generic processes. When we start strategy using the 5 generic processes, we choose the positive as the focus of inquiry. So we look around the organization, much as we did with Moments of Excellence, and choose the positive as what we're going to focus on, okay? So we're not going to focus on turnover, we're going to focus on healthy retention. And there's a distinction. So we're choosing the positive. And we're being very intentional and very thoughtful about that. And then we're going to look for exceptionally positive moments. We're going to look around the organization and find the shining stars. We're going to find the most heliotropic elements of the organization. I see a bunch of you taking pictures of the slides. I'll send them to you. You really don't have to do that. I've noticed that, and I should have said it earlier, but I see you just taking pictures. If you just write slides on a card, I'll just send them to you. I feel like you're doing all that labor. I'm sorry. So we're going to look for positive moments. We're going to look for opportunities when we are at our best. We're going to look for the pockets of the organization where things go really, really well. That's what we're going to look for. And then once we have found that, we're going to share the stories. See, part of our strategy is going to be changing the narrative in the organization. And we're going to share the stories and identify life-giving forces throughout the organization. Where are they? What are they? Why do they matter? What results are they getting? And then we're going to work collaboratively to create a shared image of what comes next. We're going to create a shared image of a preferred future. And we're going to have real clarity on what that shared image looks like. It's got to be something that everybody can sign on to and believe in. Everybody's got to be able to sign on to it and believe in it. And then we are going to innovate and improvise on ways to create that future. So we're going to find different approaches, things that maybe we've never tried before. Different approaches to create the future. And you will notice both the 4Ds and these 5 generic processes are not cumbersome approaches to strategy. And I believe that that is why they work, because they're not cumbersome, because they're things that any one of us can wrap our heads and our hearts around. They're things that can be done. They're not, yes, there's a theoretical foundation, but they're not so theoretical that you can't actually do them and do them well in your organization. So I wanted to present the 5 generic processes because I think that you need to have options. But I want to tell you something else. I'm a big believer, yes?
Can you tell me the difference between 1 and 2?
Mm-hmm. Sure. So this is the original model that Cooper Ryder came up with, okay? And it actually, at one point, I think the original model had 5 Ds, not 4. And then other theorists said, those Ds sound good. However, let's use some different language and let's build on them in a different way. So instead of calling it discovery, they said they're going to choose the positive as a focus of inquiry and be very strategic and thoughtful on the front end about thinking about where are we going to inquire. Whereas here, we're just discovering in the organization, just discovering the best of what is. But here, we're starting out by saying, what's this inquiry going to be looking like? What is this strategy going to be addressing? So then the next one here is inquiring into exceptionally positive moments. Well, here, we're dreaming. We're moving from discovering the best of what is to dreaming about what we want to see. And then here, whoops, I'm not doing so good with my clicker. Here, we're doing something different. We're looking at this organization as it exists, and looking for really great moments, kind of like our moments of excellence that we did at the beginning, but that's what we're doing at the second step here. And here, we're moving from dreaming to designing. We're about to make it happen. That's my Joanne, it's time to shut up. Okay, so if I run 2 minutes over, just forgive me, okay? But that's my Joanne, stop. So here, we have jumped right into the design work. We are making it happen. We are building dialogue about what should be. We're building models. We're doing tests there. And here, what we're doing is we are changing the narrative in the organization. We are sharing stories about things that are going well, things that are going right. And we're being very intentional about identifying the pockets of the organization that are the most heliotropic. We're being thoughtful about that. We're finding them, and we're elevating them so that people have models to work from, so that they can see models in their own organization. They don't have to go outside of their organization. And here, by now, we're creating. So we're at the destiny phase, and we're creating what it's going to be. And here, we're starting to look at what do we want our preferred future to look like. We are shaping and coming up with strategies and action steps for the future, okay? And then the last step is around innovation and improv to make those things happen. Other questions? Other questions? They're very similar. I think it's, wait, I'm not finished yet. Told you I might go 2 minutes over, but thank you. I think that, and I should be able to remember this, I apologize. I think it's Jane Magruder Watkins. I'm gonna say that. Jane Magruder Watkins is the 5 generic processes. I can't remember though. I cannot remember. So I want to talk very briefly. I have 1 minute and 16 seconds. I want to talk very briefly about how we close the gap between strategy and execution. We do it by making sense of the situation, by making clear choices, understanding the law of focus, and understanding that there has to be focus. We have to make clear choices. And then we have to make things happen. We can't just talk about it and talk about strategy and have a beautiful strategic plan that sits on a shelf somewhere. We have to actually use it, And then we've got to make revisions, okay? And turning strategy into performance, because that's what we want from it, requires a few things. Number one, it has to be simple. You'll notice that both of those models are clear, they're simple, they're easy to use. We've got to challenge existing assumptions. We've got to shift paradigms. We've got to make some challenges there. We've got to create and speak a shared language. We've got to think about resource allocations. Do we have the resources to do what this shared vision, shared strategy dictates? If we don't have the resources, what are we doing? And then we've got to prioritize, because when everything's a priority, nothing's a priority. Got to pay constant attention to performance and make sure that performance is aligned with the strategic intent of the organization. And we've got to develop execution ability, the ability to get things done, to actually get things done. So, I'd like for you to think about your own implementation of intention and consider, what do you want to apply from our time together? Whose assistance do you need? What are the outcomes that you foresee? And what additional support do you need? I want you to really think about that, because that is what will enable you to take this from this was a fun session to something that I can actually use. For those of you who have a desire to go more in depth on learning about this, I have a good packet of articles and resources. If you write articles and resources or articles on a card and leave it, I will send them to you. And for those of you who have been taking pictures of these slides, I'm happy to send them to you. If you write slides on a card, I'm happy to send them to you. My hope is that you found something here that you will take back and use the heck out of it. Thank you for playing with me this morning. I appreciate it.